My name is Leo Connors, and welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. Before I introduce my guest, I just want to say, 8 years ago today, my brother John passed away. I dedicated the show in his memory, and this is the first time it's come up where I'm doing the show on his anniversary. So, John, I love you. We all miss you. Yeah, I miss you, buddy. I love you. And my guest tonight is another friend, Maverick Wild.
Boy, we really know how to pile into depression episodes, don't we?
Yes. So, guys, this episode is about mental health.
Mine and mental health in general.
Yes. So, before we get to fan questions, why don't you just let us know what's going on?
So, I don't think it really comes as any surprise that I may be a surprise to anybody that I may be a little unbalanced.
You surprised me, but I'm not being honest with you.
But it's been getting worse. So essentially where the breakdown was for about 3 weeks in a row. I was driving to work and I drive along Route 32, which goes into Springfield for my house. And there was just this lovely rest area / rail trailhead. And I remember going past it thinking it was just very peaceful there. And then I remember one day going by it, like 3 weeks into it, going, that might be a nice place to die. And I started telling myself that more and more as I went by it, as I approached it. In the coming weeks, I started having a bunch of panic attacks, which I've had before. But I forget the exact date, but it was near the end of July. It was the day I went in. And I was going in, and I woke up, and I just had this massive panic attack. And I was sweating profusely. My heart was beating like a trip hammer. My head hurt. And all I could think was, I don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
I wanted to die. So I'm driving again past this rail trail on the way to work. I've been having a panic attack now for about 2 hours straight. And I'm passing by it and I'm going, you know what, I think today's the day. And of course, it's weird because you're almost sitting outside yourself going, that's insane. What are you thinking? But you're still thinking it. And it was getting stronger and stronger. And that point is about 35, 40 minutes of work. And I get to work and it was even worse. I was just racing, my heart just racing, sweating, my head pounding, and just, so I work in Springfield, Mass, which is why it's hard for me to get here at 5 o'clock. Right. Sorry, Leo. Right. But if anybody knows about Springfield, especially Main Street area and behind, Springfield's an okay place, but there's a lot of projects and there's a lot of urban blight, and it's pretty rough out there in some ways. So basically the neighborhood behind us, behind the shop, there's always some type of massive drug activity going on. And so I couldn't take it anymore. I was about 4 hours into this massive panic attack, and I'm like, the hell with it. And I started wandering into this back neighborhood, and the idea was I was going to purchase enough drugs to jump in my truck, head back to the rail trail, crawl in the woods, take them and be done. And it was scary, pretty scary. Somewhere in the back of my head, I just, some rational thought took over. It's like, this is insane. So I called I texted a suicide prevention hotline. And they're out there. You can look them up. And I'm sorry, I'm unprepared because I was supposed to. Okay. Because I don't have the name of the service that I used. I was online with them for about 20, 25 minutes. Then they called my doctor. Didn't get through to her because it was still too early. But they told me to go to the emergency room. I'm lucky enough where my buddy Jeremy, Dr. Heresy, lives right in Springfield. And he does social work for a living.
Nice.
So I called him. I said, I need you to meet me at the hospital because I don't think I'll go if you don't meet me there. Because I was like a little child at that point. I drive over there. I get admitted. I call my wife, tell them I'm in the ER. That was fun for her.
Right.
And I was in the ER for about a day. Jeremy helped settle me down when I got in there. So did my wife. Stayed there for about 20 hours, and then they shipped me off to a place in South Attleboro called the Fuller House.
Okay.
Notice I said it was in South Attleboro. Who's from the Attleboro area that we know? Kid Crazy.
Yes.
I'm sitting in this place that Kid Crazy has probably spent some time in himself. Right. And it was a horror story. It was terrible. I was surrounded by, first of all, it might as well just be in jail with laces, belt, right. Clothes, anything, You don't have any of that. No cell phone, of course, And it was horrific, and I knew it would be horrific because, frankly, I've probably avoided this step for years.
Right. Now,
of course, if I'd taken this step earlier, it probably wouldn't have had to been such an extreme step. But that's the long and short of why I'm here right now.
Right.
I was there for about 2 weeks, and they medicated me, and I've been out for about 4 weeks now, maybe a little longer. I went back to work about just 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it made no sense because, I have my first grandchild on the way.
Yeah.
I'm actually making decent money for the first time in some time, which I called you, which I messaged you and bragged about one night.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's really no rationale to be thinking like that, or there wasn't in my mind. But then, as we'll discover as we go into it, you start figuring out why these things are happening to you. Right. I don't know how much more of an explanation you want as to why I'm here.
No, but I've been there. When I was 25 years old, I wanted to die. I was doing cocaine and stuff like that. And I told the kid I was done. He went upstairs. He had a shotgun in the corner, and I wanted to die. And I thought of my kids for the first time in a long time. So, and honestly, I was very shocked when you told me. I really was.
Yeah, that was too. I didn't, not a move I anticipated, but, when I look at some of the history of the things I've done over the years, the way I've reacted to things,
right.
and let's just be honest, I was diagnosed bipolar while I was there. One of the questions they asked me was, well, have you ever been up for days and days and felt like you don't lack energy? I'm like, no. And then I looked at 20 years worth of wrestling. I said, yeah, all the goddamn time.
Right.
When I lost the wrestling, you ever see the first Captain America movie?
Yes, I have.
I realize now that the energy that I put into a wrestling match was kind of like when he was guiding the plane into Antarctica.
Right.
Where there was just so much power and so much energy and so much bad could happen, but he was going to do one good thing. And that's how I adopted my matches. I was just going to put everything into it, and they weren't going to be bad. Right. And I was obsessive about it, maniacal about it, to be frank with you. So I used to have that place to focus that energy.
Right.
And, of course, roofing as well, because, I always claim that half the reason I'm torn up is not wrestling, but roofing.
Right.
And it's very true, because I would wrestle for 2-3 days.
Right.
I can, and there were times I just showed up straight from wrestling right on a roof. Yeah. And I just keep going. And unfortunately, you can't keep pushing like that your entire life. And I don't have the energy. It's like you're a giant snowplow. And you can push and you can push and keep piling the snow and keep putting it out of your way. But eventually the snow is going to get too big in front of you and you can't move that pile anymore. Right. And I can't move that pile anymore. I just can't. That ability doesn't exist. Right. not to brag, but I mean, the way the energy I put into matches was almost pretty superhuman.
Right.
And if people think I'm bragging, I don't give a shit, because Sonny was on the show one time and he told you that both me and Rip
Yeah.
were more willing to give of our own bodies
Yeah.
than any other wrestler he met.
Right.
And it comes with a cost. And yeah, I'm paying it.
Right.
And
But like I said, it really, I mean, I thought, for it, like your life was going great. You got a great relationship with your wife, 2 beautiful kids, a baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood what depression really was until, like I said earlier, when I went through that myself at the age of 25. And I mean, I only had it that once and it went away. So I can't imagine what you're going through. I really can't.
I've been dealing with it for pretty much all my life. But I just always found ways to focus past it.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, one of the reasons they think I can't focus past it is it may be a side effect of all these shots in the head that I've taken, unfortunately. That perhaps I was a little more borderline of a case of bipolar, but whatever controls I had learned to kind of hold it down to some degree, they're kind of going bye-bye.
Right.
Which is in itself very scary to face. But we don't know. I mean, I don't want to start throwing the CTE word around on top of it, but I have to go have some testing done.
Yeah, you should.
Yes, they just scheduled an MRI for my brain, so. But that's really the long and short of what happened. Right. I mean, as to the stay, that was, Jesus. I would not discourage anybody from doing what I did, but you're going to have to be prepared if you have to go that deep into it. It is, I don't mean to sound like a raging liberal, but those programs are tragically underfunded.
Right.
Just as simple as you go in there, and I mean, most of those people are just getting taken off the street. Right. At least I had my wife to bring me things, and I had friends that can come visit me and stuff. They go in there and it's either they're wearing scrubs or whatever clothes in the donation pile. There was one short Greek guy that was in there, and he was wearing women yoga pants and shirt and a shirt that was probably 2 sizes too small because that was what was in the donation bin.
Right.
And the process is very demeaning. It really it breaks you down quite a bit. And it's not supposed to be prison. I'm not so sure it's supposed to work that way.
Right.
I understand that you can't have people running all over the place, but like I said, the place is short-staffed. I ended up breaking up a fight while I was in there.
You told me that too.
You got because they didn't have enough staff.
Right.
They brought a kid, and I do mean a kid because he was 17, out of a juvenile ward, and apparently he liked to beat up his people in his own age group and then go after them sexually.
Right. Wow.
So their solution was to transfer him to an adult ward, where I guess they figured people could defend themselves better, but the kid was just violent and he was looking for a fight, and they were short-staffed one day, and he went after this kid. He went after this kid Xavier, and the one male nurse that was on the block managed to grab one person, but he grabbed the guy who wasn't the aggressor. He grabbed this kid Xavier. So this kid's closing in on him about, you've been in plenty of fights. What happens when one guy's arm is pinned behind him? Oh, yeah. So
you're in trouble.
He was after him, and I grabbed him from behind, waist locked him, and held on to him for dear life. Hurt my shoulder like a son of a bitch. I can't hold on to people like that anymore. Right. I just don't have, structurally, I'm just not solid anymore.
Right.
Ended up in the hospital. I'm in there with schizophrenics that are screaming spoken word poetry,
right?
Up and down the halls. There was one kid who had pica. We'd go outside and he'd eat everything on the ground.
He'd eat everything on the ground?
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. And of course, I can't help but try and be funny, even though if I'm not.
Yeah.
And they asked me one time, "Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside, get some fresh air?" I'm like, "I can't. It's hot." And he ate all the shade. It was, and I joke about it, but it was terrible. It was just terrible. It really was. It was a horrible experience. The doctor was a joke. He got my medication right. He was good for that. But beyond that, he had my blood pressure medication all screwed up. Blood pressure was through the roof while I was in there, as it's bound to be to begin with.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting your medication for it, it's even worse, which was very annoying because people would line up at a window and get all their meds, including their Suboxones and their Parks, and I'm like, I just want my blood pressure medication. I'm not asking for anything like that.
Right.
But I am glad I did it.
I'm glad you did it too.
Horrendous as the situation in there is. I really don't know where to really go from that. I mean, I really don't. That's the long and short of it.
Well, I mean, thank God you had someone like Doc in your life, and you knew to call him. Honestly.
I had three people. I had
Yep.
Doc, I had my wife, and I had Tony Spencer.
Yep.
Those are the three people I called.
Yep.
Tony was calling because they were taking my phone away, and I had to have him call my wife and things of that nature, because I think she ended up hearing from Tony. The day was kind of a blur.
Yep.
Tony's
a good guy. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm gonna say this right now, and it's off topic. People always smile and snicker. Why do you always place so much faith in Tony Spencer?
Right.
There wasn't here comes the swear. There wasn't one of you motherfuckers showed up at the hospital. All right. Tony was always there for me. Tony was always calling. If nobody around here could figure out how to use somebody that dedicated and that smart, that's their problem, not his.
Right. Absolutely.
Back on subject, though.
No, but honestly, like, Tony's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And your wife is lovely. And Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and again, thank God you had the smarts to call them. To call Doc and stuff like that, instead of sitting in it, and you know what I mean, and not making the phone call.
I don't think I would have gone.
Right.
You might not be talking to me right now.
Well, I'm glad I am. I really am.
It was horrendous. It really
imagine.
was. And like I said, I've had inklings of these problems. My mother's side of the family is it's like the bipolar Olympics.
Right.
They're really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like almost to a person. I used to go to family reunions, and they'd break out this. I think I've told you this. They break out this fake lineage book.
Right.
And they tell you, look, we're related to Charlemagne. I'm like, I am not related to Charlemagne. I'm related to Roger the Roofer, and that's good enough for me.
There you
Okay.
go, yep.
I don't need to be related to a king.
Right.
I don't need to be related to a king. I'm related to Roger the Roofer. He's good enough for me.
I mean, I'm a Connors. My mother that gave birth to me, I was adopted by my aunt and uncle. My father's brother. My father that raised me, his only sister was my biological mother. And like how you said, my whole dad's side of the family, out there. All my cousins from that side, they're all in prison.
Yeah. So there's some good, there's a little bit of prison history on my dad's side. Not much mental health history. I guess I can put a little levity to it. The one diagnosed case of mental illness on my dad's side was my Aunt Thelma, as evidenced by the fact that my father had disarm her on one Thanksgiving.
Whoa.
Yeah, she was pretty out there.
Right.
But she had a rough life too, on top of it.
Right.
But I mean, this stuff has just been building and building for quite some time. I mean, you don't just you can't just wake up one day when your life is actually going okay and go, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I'd never thought it was that bad. I thought you had a happy life. But that's the thing, you don't know.
I do have a happy life.
Yeah.
That's what's so insane about it, which is really what it is. It's insanity. It's so the first therapist I went to, he basically kind of came to the conclusion that a lot of what was happening with me, a lot of it was triggering with me, and I hate that word, but it's a real word,
Right.
was not so much I couldn't wrestle anymore, but the combination of things that I used to do,
Right.
that I used to be able to just throw on my shoulders
Yep.
and just keep moving forward no matter what. And now I can't do that anymore.
Right.
The therapist that I'm talking to has basically explained for the last 10 to 12 years, you've almost been in a fight or flight situation because you don't know how to deal with not being able to just ram yourself physically through
Right.
tough obstacles. And truthfully, I got off on it. I did, you know. When other guys would say, oh, that's going to hurt if you do that in the ring. Oh, well.
Right.
I didn't care. And getting back to Sonny, I did an interview years ago, and I don't do a lot of interviews. I mean, like, promo, let's call it.
Right.
And it was up in Vermont someplace. And basically, the promo was about how when I got up to the top rope, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to get hurt. I was thinking I wasn't afraid to die.
Right.
And, when I'm jumping on somebody, I'm not thinking this could hurt me. What I'm thinking is I'm not afraid to die. That's the entire thought process. And Sonny thought that was silly. And it was, but at the same time, unfortunately, it was very true.
Right.
I can honestly tell you there were times in a wrestling ring, if I landed and I never got up again, and I go, well, it was good for the business. Wow. Which is taking it way too far.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And to think that you've been thinking things like that for so long. And we become pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And I wish you would have came to me and told me. I really do. Because I would have been there for you. Because I love you.
How do you be the toughest son of a bitch walking around?
I know. You're right.
And have that in your head. And you're going to want to tell people that?
Right.
Whatever my image was, I cultivated it. I have no, I don't lie about that, When I cultivated an image that I was tough and I was nearly unstoppable, it's because I was.
Right.
But I'm not anymore. And I'm having an extremely tough time dealing with that at this point. Right. I treated myself through physical impact, I was like an adrenaline junkie to some point. But I don't have that anymore.
Right.
And it's like I've been fighting to find a replacement for it for 12, 13 years, but there really is no replacement for that. Right. So it has to change. I don't know how to change that.
Right. Well, you need to find out how to change that. Mm-hmm. Just in a way, I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm starting to see the lines in my neck, and I ain't liking it.
No, it's not
I am not liking the change. Mm-hmm. And I have to learn how to come to grips at looking in the mirror. Yeah. And I have a little bit, just a little bit, but I still don't like it.
Well, you don't break the goddamn thing.
But honestly, though, like Maria said, she's like, Leo, you're lucky. It's taken you almost 60 years old to start looking old. She says, well, I'm sorry, honey, but I've started to look old 5 years ago. So,
and to me, it's not the age, though. It's the loss of these abilities. It really is. I was never afraid of getting old. Never. I'm still not afraid of getting old.
Right.
I just don't know how to get past what I was.
Right. And that's got to be tough. You know? I mean, you in a way, you were like Superman. In a way, I'm saying, by wrestling and giving your body so much that you thought, nothing can hurt me.
Oh, I know it can hurt me.
Yeah.
Trust me, there were plenty of times I'd limp the hell out of a ring, but it was just, when people would look at me like, limp out of a ring and then turn around and come out 2 matches later for another match and then kind of barely show the effects of it. How do you do that? It's because the way my brain works.
Right.
I just focus past it.
Yep.
I don't have that anymore. I don't have that. I'm in enough pain day to day.
Right.
One big smash used to take that away, but now it's a constant thing, and that's different.
Now, do you think that's why you were looking to get back into the wrestling to help train and all that?
I'm looking for something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously looking for something.
Right.
And the hell with it, I don't care who I piss off. I'm as good as anybody at it, so, or I
Right.
was. And frankly, I'm as good at training people as anybody.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I didn't think so, but maybe I present a little different than other trainers, but,
Yeah. No, but you care, though. You care about someone that you're training, though. It's,
yeah, it's part of the problem.
I mean, look what you did for Tony. No, listen, I know you're smirking, but I didn't know Tony at all, okay? And I kind of thought, like, how do I say this without being mean? I thought it was a joke.
But it was a goof.
But I know I see through that. Like, he loves to be a joke, joking around, trying to be funny. But I see through that now. I see the person that Tony is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had a lot to do with that. And I know you're sitting there right now thinking, like, all the wrestling stuff.
No,
But no, you did a great thing with it.
But he's been good to me, too.
Right.
So I can't, because that's the other thing people don't take into account. It's like, oh, what's he going to do for you? People have no idea how much he's done for me.
Right.
They really don't.
Yep.
And they don't because they can't see past their own face.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reached out to him because that is a kid that loves you.
I know.
There's no doubt about it. I know that.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to tell you now, you can call me whenever you want, man. I'd be there for you, because I love you. I really do.
And that's part of what getting this out in the open is about, because I can't talk about this to people unless I just throw it out there.
Yep.
Here it is. This is what I'm going through. This is what happened. This is what I'm still going through.
Right.
And some people can look at it, oh, he's kind of awfully whiny. He became a 53-year-old emo. But I don't care,
Tori,
I don't care.
You're far from emo.
Because there are so many people out there.
Right.
I'm sorry. Wrestling attracts people that they're damaged.
Yeah.
It attracts a lot of damaged people. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go play a real sport. And there's people out there that probably have these problems and don't want to reach out and don't, like I didn't.
Right.
And they don't know where to start, like I didn't.
Right.
But I guess I'm here to tell you there are services you can start. Just my advice is just don't wait 53 years.
Right.
Right. Because you don't want to end up in a place like that. You don't want to in a place like Fuller House. It's food is gross. Breaking up fights.
Yeah.
And you look around and go, what's the best? You can look around and see, well, I'm not as bad as some of these people, but
Right. But you're there.
But I'm there, so maybe I am.
Right.
So maybe I should shut up and stop being arrogant about it.
Well, knowing like that's a place that you never want to go again. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that helps you.
Yeah, because I will say I did see a certain quotient of people there that they want to be there.
Right.
Probably much like prison.
Right.
They can't, either their life is, a lot of these people's lives outside of this place were horrible. I was like one of 3 people that got visitors the entire time.
Yeah.
Of course, my wife, dedicated as hell, showed up every day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a horror story in there. It really is. And of course, I never want to go back, but if I have to, I would.
Right. Well, that's good to know, at least that you know where to reach out to if that happens again.
Well, hopefully, I don't have to go that extreme to start with at this point.
Right.
It was just, I was going to check out. I was going to check out. So I needed to make an extreme movement, and I did.
Well, we got some fan questions. A lot of them aren't really questions. They're
That's fine.
statements and stuff. So let's just jump right into them. So as soon as I can find them, here we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, of course, it's not going to come out. All right. So you would sent me a video, and I used the video. I'd asked you if I could use it to ask for fan questions. And just from your post, you got a couple of comments. Rebecca Olette Veth, grateful for you, my friend, with the heart emoji. And Rudy Lopez?
Yep.
Rudy Lopez, good luck, Maverick Wild. Thoughts are with you. Okay, and then we got a bunch of other things. So here we go. Jonathan Saucy, you know Jonathan, right? From the new gen?
Yes.
Okay. Not a question. Just wanted to thank Mav for teaching me some stuff while I was still training at Next Gen. Just hope he knows, despite our limited time together, that I have a deep appreciation for him. Thank you for the time you have given my brothers at Next Gen, giving them knowledge and assisting them in their professional wrestling journey. Thank you for getting help, and thank you for continuing to live.
Oh, thank you.
John is a good kid, too. I like him. He's a really nice kid.
He's a good guy.
I know this isn't his real name, but Emilio Bullet Estevez says, I'll be watching. Love you, brother Scott. Joey Kilmartin. Jason Rumble's son. Scott, this is an incredibly strong and unselfish. I've had respect for you for 20 years almost, but never more than I do now. And Joey's been going through some stuff, too. Just, you know.
It's nice to know that me confirming I'm batshit crazy is a high point.
Yeah, it's helping Joey. And he needs all the help he can get. No, I'm just kidding you, Joey.
We all do.
Oh, right. Yeah. I love you, Joey. I'm just kidding. All right. So next up was Paul Fournier. Stone Cold. Remember when he did the Stone Cold thing? Did he do that for Jeff?
No, he didn't.
Oh, I don't think
he did.
But Scotty, you've always been a cool stand-up guy in my book, buddy. Take the time and get the help you need. I've been there, and it is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. We love you, man. Thanks, Paul. Paul's a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
And he's the kind of like Tony where not everybody likes him.
I like him fine.
I like him a lot, too.
I like him fine.
I do. Paul's awesome. All right, Victor Pixano.
Yep.
Thinking of you, Coach Mav.
Thank you, Victor.
Robert Needham. Love my Uncle Scott.
Robbie. My Uncle Bob, my little guy, Bob's a good guy.
Nice. I like to see the smile on your face. I'm glad these people wrote in. JP Griffin. I've had my own struggles this past year, and thank you for speaking on yours, as most men don't get help or speak on the issues. I'm glad you're still with us, and believe it or not, you speaking publicly has helped someone, in parentheses, me, to know I'm not alone.
I'm glad if I helped.
You know JP, right?
Yes.
JP's a great guy, man. Daniel Baker, who struggled himself, battling with that daily. I understand how hard those things are to share. This episode is going to be a good one because it may help others that may be in a similar mindset or situation. Thanks for sharing, Scott. I hope things are starting to get better.
Well, I hope it does encourage people to get help and need it, and thank you very much.
Dan's a good guy. Big Dog Wilson.
Big Dog Wilson.
Big Dog Wilson. All right. Brett Williams, who comments and asks questions quite a bit here. I look forward to whenever Scott is on the show, especially with a topic that hits home with me. Mental health is something I struggle with every day. It can be easy for it to be both ignored or ridiculed, but the problem is growing every day in this country. I have a special place in my soul for those that have struggled and continue to struggle.
Brett's a good guy. Brett's does a lot of work with a lot of historical websites and things of that nature. Hangs around with Tom Burke sometimes.
Oh, yes. So that's a guy I need to get on this show,
Tom Burke. So he's in the history of what we do. And I talk to him frequently, actually. He's a nice guy, and thank you for the compliment.
Nice. All right. Edgar Arthur Stevens. I know Scott.
Roadhouse.
Yes. As I said when you made your initial post about this, it takes a tough person to admit they need help, especially in our business with their parents of being strong and tough guy is so vital to one's career and character. and how too many have hidden their pain behind alcohol, pills, or illegal street drugs, and or deadly a combination of all three. And many of those people are no longer with us to perform or enjoy the retirement life from the wrestling life. And about how it takes an even stronger person to go public with it because you're doing it to help others. You never know who might be listening and who may go get help because of your experiences.
No.
I know I have limited time with you, but when you have been taught classes, I don't know if I've laughed so hard at any other point in my journey in the business thus far. I know you need to take care of what you need to take care of, but I'm sure I can speak for all of Next Gen when I say we can't wait to see you again or have you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tommy O'Donnell, anytime you need to talk, brother, I'm here. I go through the same thing. I woke up at UMass Psych Ward with no clue how I got there. I understand what you're going through, brother. It sucks. Hit me up anytime. Definitely. Don't want to lose another brother. Love your family forever. Forever family.
Tommy's a good guy that I've reconnected with over the last couple of years in
Nice.
New Bedford. He's, and he's had his struggles. He definitely has. And guys like that, I do look towards for some inspiration, to be frank with you.
Nice. Okay. Next up is Kenny Watson. Have the events started as of recently, or did you notice them early on and then they were progressively getting worse? Love you, Scott. Hope everything goes well.
I mean, honestly, I think basically the way I described it is I've always known I've had these problems,
Right.
but I had something else to focus them on. The last 12 years or so, it's been just building and building and building.
Wow.
And it got to the point, 5 or 6 weeks ago, it's just getting ridiculous.
Right. Wow. Kara Hultgren?
Yes.
All right, I said it right. I admired your courage to speak so openly about something so personal and something that not a lot of people would admit to. Stay strong. Much love and respect.
Kara's actually a friend of my wife.
Really?
I am glad to get some responses from people who have nothing to do with wrestling.
Right.
Because that helps, because I would like to see people,
Right. Not
a
just people
wider
in wrestling
range.
care
No,
about you.
well, it's not. I know that. I want people of a wider range just than the wrestlers to see this. I really do.
I get it.
Because it's not just wrestlers who go through this shit.
No, absolutely. People go through this on a daily basis. People that aren't in wrestling. People that aren't in any sports at all.
Yeah.
So, all right, Andrew Crane, what is the biggest revelation you have taken away from this experience that you could pass on to someone else struggling with mental health?
The biggest revelation to me was just how stupid I was for waiting to get help in the first place.
Right.
Before I hit 40, I knew I had these problems. And I knew I should probably go talk to somebody, at the very least. And if I had done that in a timely fashion, perhaps things wouldn't have built up over the last 10, 12, 13 years, where I've become a neurotic mess and, to the point where I'm contemplating suicide.
Right.
If you feel like something's wrong, chances are there is. And don't wait on it. What's the worst that happens if you go to some counseling? They tell you there's nothing wrong with you. Win. But if there is something wrong with you, you need to take care of it.
Yeah.
You don't ignore it like I do for years and years and years and years. Because as I look at my life, I can see some of the terrible decisions I've made and some of the crazy things that I've done over the years. And that's actually gotten worse since I stopped wrestling.
Right.
And if I had sought the help I needed 20, 25 years ago, I don't think we'd be having such a difficult conversation.
Right. Well, people don't say things in life anyways. Like my brother had liver cancer and he knew something was wrong and didn't tell anybody until it was too late. And then he asked me, he said, promise not to tell mar or anything that I knew something was wrong. And I don't have to worry about it. Nobody in my family watches the show, so I can say whatever I want. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of people go through stuff and they don't follow through. And like I said, it cost my brother his life.
Well,
It did.
it almost cost me mine
Right.
in a very different way, but still the result's the same.
Exactly. Well, I'm grateful you're here. I really am, Ev. All right, Todd Graham. Do you have any tips for handling the anxiety of the business, whether show running, working in and out of the ring, ways to deal with pain that isn't drug related like it used to be?
As far as handling the anxiety of the business, I don't really have any advice for you because I did what I did. I can look at things and think of things I probably could have done better or approached it a different way.
Right.
Ultimately, I don't really have a good piece of advice for how you're going to avoid the anxiety of it all.
Right.
Because it's life. There's anxiety. And really, you have to make sure you're healthy,
Right.
because wrestling is definitely a place where your weaknesses, they will eventually come out like that.
Right.
They will eventually rear their ugly head. Now, sometimes it's after you're done, like me, but some people, it rears their ugly head while they're in it.
Right.
I mean, Joe Eastman had a friend, what was his name? Larry Sweeney. And
I know Larry. I knew Larry Sweeney.
Larry Sweeney had, I don't know what his precise mental problems were, but they were like apparent on shows. And
Right.
Joey would tell me stories, and it's just like he'd show up at training and he'd like be bleeding from the ear for no reason.
Right.
So my mania didn't show up like that. Mine waited till I was, like my mania did show up on shows, but it'd be just like, I'm going to have the best match and that's all there is to it.
Right.
And I didn't care what I had to do it. His was more just day to day, obviously. And,
Right.
And I believe he committed suicide.
Yes, he did.
And I don't even think he was 40.
No, he was in his
And,
30s.
yeah.
I don't even think he was close to 40, honestly.
Yeah,
He's probably early to mid 30s.
I mean, and I remember those stories when I was going in too.
Right.
And that was kind of a cautionary tale to me where, the kid was obviously a pretty brilliant worker.
Yeah, and he was loved by everyone.
He was loved by everybody.
He was.
And apparently he couldn't figure that out.
Yep.
And I certainly didn't want to end up like that.
No, definitely not. And Larry, he went through that for a long time. He tried, he got some help because I know about it. You know what I mean about his Larry story. Because again, I'm an independent wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that was you.
Yeah, I know.
All right. No, but he went through it and he was dealing with it, and it seemed that he got better, and then it just caught back up to him again. And he was a brilliant worker. I mean, he was a manager, but he could wrestle too.
You did a brilliant dance act to Jive Soul Bro. I saw. Yeah, it was him and Akeem.
Yes. All right. Now, this guy's a personal friend of mine. I grew up with this kid, Stephen Vaughn.
Okay.
And he says, hello there, I'm Stephen.
Okay.
I'm wondering what would lead you into such a situation like that? You are married? Do you have kids? Were you on drugs? I guess I'll probably find out tonight. And believe me, I've been through plenty of institutions. I wasted over 10 years in and out of jails. And like I said, institutions. Okay, thanks. I look forward to hearing more.
I mean, what would lead me down this path at the age that where I didn't spend tons of time in my youth?
Right.
As far as drugs go, I didn't even start drinking again until I was 37.
Wow.
It was I didn't drink for years and years.
Me and Steve did a lot of drinking and drugging
But
together.
I probably should clarify that to say I wasn't an addict is kind of pushing it a little.
Okay.
Because in my own sick head, I would think, well, I'm on a pain management contract and I'm not taking more Percocet than I'm supposed to.
Right.
Which for the most part was true. Occasionally I'd take a little more if I was really aching, but
Yeah.
but I thought it was fine to wash it down with half a bottle of rum.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm not done.
Uh-oh.
On top of that rum, throw an Ambien or two in there.
Now you're mixing things.
Yeah, I did a lot of mixing of things,
Right.
all of which were available to me legally.
Right.
And in and of themselves, except maybe for the drinking to some degree, I probably didn't exceed any amount that would be, didn't get to an amount that would be dangerous in and of itself.
Right.
But there were times I was on a cocktail of Percocet, alcohol, Ambien.
Yep.
Sometimes I would mix it with sometimes I'd even plow that with over-the-counter sleeping pills. Gabapentin on top of it, which is not really huge, but and and then to keep my metabolism up, I would take asthma medication, probably twice the recommended dosage, with aspirin and caffeine to kind of accelerate my. Just suffice to say, the cocktail that I was on was not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. Yeah. Because on it, when I look at it, not only was I in pain, when I'd operate up here like I would when I was wrestling, and you can ask people around, they could probably, once they listen, it was like, yeah, he was pretty goddamn intense.
Right.
Coming down was a huge problem from that. I remember the night I got a concussion in Somerville. I think no, it wasn't Somerville. It was a Quincy Armory, working for Sheldon.
Okay.
And I went to the hospital, and okay, well, you have a concussion. Okay, went right home, took my Percocet, took my Ambien, drank.
Right.
It's amazing I'm alive in some
Right.
ways. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah, and my poor wife had to watch this shit.
Yeah.
I
mean, just mixing pills and alcohol are one of the worst things to do.
It's the mix. It was the mix, and I'm lucky my heart's still beating, frankly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's unbelievable. We have one more comment from Dave Fournier.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos for doing this. You're a good guy. What advice do you give to someone if someone is struggling with mental health but is afraid to seek help?
I know it's hard, and I know it's hard from experience.
Right.
But essentially, you have to. Almost nobody lives this life without affecting other people.
Right.
I thought I had become useless. I didn't see what good I was to anybody around me.
Right. Wow.
I didn't. I literally thought, that grandkid, he doesn't need a grandfather like me.
Oh, yes, he most certainly does. He most certainly does.
He's such a used up piece of shit.
No, you're not. See, that's what it's trying to tell you to feel that way, but you're not. You're seeking help, Matt. That's what matters most.
But you have to get your head out of your ass. It's the best way I can put it. It sounds like tough guy bullshit.
Nope.
It really is.
Right.
You have to get your head out of your ass, because I think of, especially the last 12 years, it's amazing my wife is still with me. Some of the damage I've done, some of the shit that I'm supposed to be doing that I haven't done. Because you see, like everybody else, pretty much what I wanted you to see.
Right.
And I'm a pretty genuine guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't want anybody to know this was going on.
Right. Of course not. I get that 100%.
And I didn't tell my wife it was going on, but I mean, for Christ's sake, she had to, obviously she saw what was going on.
Right.
And it had to be tearing her apart as well,
But you have such a great, you have a great wife.
I have my wife, I have my son,
Yep.
I have my daughter-in-law,
Yep.
I have a grandchild on the way, a boy, end of December. And I have my daughter has been a tremendous help to me. My daughter went through a lot of, in high school, junior high school, went through a lot of programs and things of that nature because, frankly, she got, called the Daybreak curse on her, and she was pretty rough, but she's doing very well for herself right now. That's good. And, I get problems like anybody else, but, and to think of it, I guess, let's face it, there's been a decent amount of death around me recently.
Right.
Kind of put me over the edge here.
Right.
With Kevin. And Crazy especially. Crazy was like, everybody, you either felt one of two ways about Crazy. You hated him or you loved him.
Right.
I loved him.
Yeah. And, I did too.
He was
a great guy.
To me, he was kind of a little bit like my own kid in some ways.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he looked at it that way. I
bet he did.
But to be frank with you, I hid my problems so well. I think he looked at how my life was, the exterior life that people think, and I think he thought that was something that was attainable for him.
Right.
But he had such problems with the bottle and other problems on top of it that was going to be extremely tough. I'm rambling now.
That's all right.
I'm losing my train of thought.
Crazy was like, I met him through you.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I knew who he was from wrestling. Yeah. And I knew he was phenomenal worker. Mm-hmm. But as I got to know him with you, and then remember I did that one from my house online, and he was hammered.
Yeah, obviously.
And then I didn't realize how bad it was when he wanted to come back on, and I was like trying to pull back a little bit because of the last time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wish I would have did it. I really do. I would rather have had Crazy on drunk 10 times than not have him on, and only have him on once like I did. Because and he cared about you a lot.
I know he did.
He cared what you thought of him, too.
I know he did. Well, if he's watching, I thought very highly of him.
I know you did. Yep. You did, and you should have, because you believed in him. Yes, he struggled and had his problems. But, I mean, his mom, that day when we went there, she, went to his wake.
Yes.
And his mom said, I know you. And I felt nice, but then I also felt like, well, I only had him on once, and I really wish I would have had him on more.
Well, it was twice, actually.
The live thing. Yeah.
That was kind of a... that was actually kind of sad, but funny at the same time.
Yeah, and we were on for a while too. We went for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, he was the second person that left your show to pee.
Yeah, but I mean, Crazy loved you though, and he did.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm grateful that you introduced him to me, because I loved him too, and I didn't know him nearly as long as you did.
He was a wonderful person.
He was.
A lot of guys would listen to me and go, that asshole? But he treated people exactly as they should be treated.
Right.
If they acted like an idiot, he treated them like an idiot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he was very genuine and very honest.
Yes. He was like Ryan Drew, and him and Ryan Drew were the only ones that honestly tell me, you need to be more selective on your guests.
Yes.
Swear to God, both of them. Ryan to this day still says, I don't know if you saw the last time he was on, but he was like, you think everybody's great. And I do. Maybe, and I told him, I said, maybe I should say you're a great person, but you're not that good in the ring. I don't know what I should do.
Yeah.
But like I said, Crazy, he cared very much about you, man. And I know you cared about him.
I did, very much so.
So now that you know what you went through, how do you help yourself now, like every day? Like, do you honestly, do you look in the mirror and go, all right, I'm going to have a good day?
I mean, right now it's just medication and therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's only really, I've only been into this now for about 4 weeks.
Right.
Some of the medication I'm on is because of the potential of CTE.
Yeah.
And it's for clarity of thought more than And there's another one that's a mood stabilizer that I'm on. And now that I'm thinking clearer, I look at what was going on, and it's just like. But I also know that a lot of bipolar people tend to bounce back and forth between therapy and they're on the meds, and then they don't need the meds, and instead they need a bottle of alcohol, or they self-medicate, I guess that's what they call it.
Yeah.
And I did plenty of that, and I don't want to anymore. And I'm trying not to.
Good.
And because I have people around me that, for no other reason, I have people around me that would hurt if I just went like that.
How about Jeff? Jeff's going through some stuff right now. He would, how he would feel, or what he would probably say to you right now would be half funny, but half yelling at you.
Jesus fuck Christ, man. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I tell you, I know exactly. But he'd do it in a way, if he did it though, you'd know he did it lovingly.
I know.
You know that.
Yeah, I'm maybe the only one of 3 people that know he does things lovingly. And I've always appreciated him for that.
But I'm hoping, Jeff, if you're watching this, I hope things are going well for you. I hope things are getting better for you. Mav loves you.
I mean,
I love you.
Always. I will always say the same thing about him. He has more street cred out of anybody that could ever show you how to do anything in this area.
Yeah.
Which I guess he went off. Somebody told him, you never did anything. I was like, anybody around here that would tell him that.
Yeah. They don't know what they're talking about. They're a
moron.
Exactly.
He's done more than anybody around here.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. Yeah. And he sent me a message telling me why I'm not in the wrestling business. I have the TV and all this. Trying to talk me into it. And he's saying things like, I can help you. Jeff, I love you, but I really don't want to get in the wrestling business. I really don't. But Mav, thanks for coming on. I love you.
I love you too.
All right? And you can reach out to me anytime you want. I love you, kid. All right. Let's do the peace. Ready? Peace! Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.